This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
Place to be pop experience. Welcome to another episode of Pop Goes Degrassi. I'm your host, James Gruenberg, and tonight we are finishing up season 1 tonight with episode 15, Jagged Little Pill. But before we get into that, let me introduce to you my co-host, Mr. John Kesselika. John, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing wonderful, Grooney. It's been a fun journey through this first season. And coming to a real conclusion. We were real ahead with a powerful episode tonight, and then hopefully a look back at some of the highs and lows of this entire introduction to our gang up in Toronto.
Yeah, just for the record, we used to be called Whatever It Takes, but on YouTube, someone pointed out that the title was already a Degrassi podcast, so we had to change it. So now we are called Degrassi Goes Pop, and Degrassi will go pop in a lot of ways. The students of Degrassi will pop as well.
Absolutely, and tonight's another opportunity for that. As we have, I think, Grooney, and we'll get into this a bit during our discussion. I think this might be the first time we get all of our students under one roof, and in that's not the school.
Yeah, the closest I think we came to was when the rumor, the one with Liberty and Armstrong, everyone kind of came together because we saw everyone spreading the rumor. Not the same thing, but we see everyone's face on who we're going to be focusing on as the seasons go by.
Yeah. All right, but yeah, here they are all gathering together, as we'll see, for our real climax to a wonderful introductory season.
Yeah. So let's deep dive into it. This is the season finale of season 1, episode 15, Jagged Little Pill. Before we get into it,
really going with the one syllable on jagged there, Grooney.
I couldn't pronounce it. Yeah, my bad. Jagged. Oh, okay, it's not jagged. Okay, jagged. Okay. Well, I know where it comes from. Yeah.
Got the past tense of the Mark Harmon show, or is it jagged? I mean, this is a Canadian show, so we are honoring Alanis, one of Canada's finest artists, with the title.
Well, thank you. Jagged Little Pill. We see Toby as he is excited about it being the last day of school, and the parents are going away for the night. Ashley's mom says they both can have one friend over, and Ashley is like, oh, okay, yep. So we see the intro and stuff. Toby and his dad are doing Arnold Arnold Schwarzenegger voices terribly, and it's always never just say that your kid can have one friend. You should always be no friends at all. But maybe that'll be the temptation even more if you say no friends, that they'll be like, oh, come on, let's have a party.
Right. We're just inviting trouble, because then you invite the one friend and you're leaving somebody out. So you're going to have to chain reaction, invite some more. But one friend, no parties. And yeah, apparently those old SNL Hans and Franz skits finally making their way onto the CBC airwaves, and Toby and his dad really getting into those characters, or like you said, watching some Arnold movies and working on their impersonations.
Gosh. And it's so weird because I keep on thinking that's Ashley's dad, because I actually put Ashley's parents, and I'm like, well, no, that's not Ashley's dad. That's Toby's dad.
We've got our mixed family here, Grooney. Come on. This is, playing to all types in the Degrassi show.
Again, we never really focused on that except for the Parents' Day episode and just the brief glimpse in the pilot. So it's sort of okay, right. They're a blended family. Let's see how long that goes for.
Toby's mom, the famous agent, is off somewhere, finding the next starlet.
Yeah, or she's kidnapping Terry for the summer.
Yeah.
Miss Kwan is handing out awards to her students, and the kids in Mr. Simpson's class are going to make him a miss you screensaver. So here is what I found interesting. What they say, that Miss Kwan says she's going to miss everybody, and Mr. Simpson says he's going to miss everybody. This is where my sensor was going off a little bit, John, of maybe they didn't know that the Next Generation was actually going to get picked up for season 2.
Well, for Miss Kwan, it would make sense since they're grade 8, they'd be moving on to high school, unless they do grade 9 in the same school, which, as we'll learn over seasons, this school just apparently expands and expands, or they find wings that we never knew existed on the building and say, well, let's just have grade 10 here too. Or it would make sense for her more so, whereas Mr. Simpson, they'll be moving to grade 8, but he'd still see them around the school since we see they're all there as well.
Yeah.
But maybe they're just, sentimental teachers. As we know, Miss Kwan can be emotional. Her husband's been sick, as Mr. Radish liked to inform everybody about. And she's been having some problems this year. So having to move on from those students is just as emotional for her.
She gave the student that she won't forget his spinner, obviously. And Ashley gets the... I would say the best student.
She gets the Student of All Students award, is what Miss Kwan calls it. The Student of All Students, which what it triggers in Ashley, though, is this kind of ongoing conflict we've seen with her all year, where she's sick of being seen as this perfect person, or kind of overachiever who tries so hard and follows the rules. And so this getting the Student of All Students even triggers Paige giving kind of the gag signal of Ashley getting this perfect student award.
Yeah, even she's the student of students. Come on. Ashley, you see Ashley, she's in the hallway with Jimmy, but Ashley invited Terry over, not him. And Jimmy's oh, it's cool. Rules are rules. And it's so funny how it's Paige who breaks it to him and not Ashley herself.
Yeah. Only one rule. And Paige is she's not inviting you, Jimmy, and she's not inviting me.
Yeah.
Just stirring the pot, as Paige loves to do. Yeah.
I mean, well, Terry has Terry is the safe option, the best option, because Ashley knows that Terry is almost as pure heart as Ashley, and won't get Ashley into trouble, as Ashley won't get Terry into trouble at all either. So then JT asks what the girls are doing tonight. That's Manny and Emma says it's a girls' night, no guys allowed, especially Sean. So we're still seeing the remnants of our last episode where Sean accidentally shoves Emma to the ground.
Yep. Yeah. Still some hurt feelings on Emma's part, and, doing her bratty little, make sure Sean hears it while passing in the hallway, calling him out.
Another Emma crusade.
Yeah. Emma always has some causes that she can work through.
JT tells Sean to come over to Toby's house, saying that Emma's going to be there and that they're just going to play cards. Terry and Ashley are in the halls.
Well, hold on. You missed a very important part of that, is that part of their reason for bringing Sean over is that Toby and JT want to get tips on how to score with chicks. As they put it, even to very Canadianize it for us, how you score like Sundin.
Yeah, so JT and Toby want to go score girls, so let's invite Sean over. He knows how to get them.
Yep.
So then Terry and Ashley are in the halls. Ashley wonders why Jimmy didn't ask her if he could come over as well. Ashley, it's like Terry says, well, I thought you wanted to cool down from him a little bit, because as you see that Ashley once said that Jimmy was smothering her, and now Ashley's well, what if he's trying to cool off from me? And it's well, the tables have turned, Ashley, and So she's a little bit nervous about it. They arrive at Ashley's house and they find Paige and Hazel outside her house. And Paige says, "Oh, well, I promised Hazel we hang out, so can we all hang out together?" And Ashley is like, "Yeah, it's cool." When all of a sudden an explosion happens in the garage, and JT and Toby emerge. They're like, "Ladies, it is our honor to have you in our presence." And Paige is just like, "Did he just wink at me? Ew."
I appreciate that this explosion and the smoke-covered faces of JT and Toby are never explained throughout this episode. It's just like this one-off off-camera gag that they're up to no good, and there to kind of embarrass the girls, and once again Paige, feeling superior to the grade 7s. Ashley is. We're seeing more of this again this episode, of her kind of always being really kind of self-centered, and even forgetting, as Terry points out, she's like, "You wanted to break up with Jimmy, like why are you so worried up in your head about this?" But we'll give her a few scenes here in a minute to really ramp it up.
Yeah, and she's really getting into like the temptation, because she knows that she's only supposed to have one friend, but she's like, "Oh, it's okay. Everybody can come over." It's like, what happened to the one friend rule? But again, Ashley just doesn't want to be pure anymore. She wants to be the cool girl.
Yeah, she doesn't want to be the student of students. She's not just Miss Goody Two Shoes who's going to follow the rules. No, one friend. Please bring Hazel, bring Paige. Let's do it.
My guess is that Toby and JT were blowing up their locks on their lockers.
Oh, okay.
That's what I think. Well, what else do kids do? They break locks on their lockers. That's what I believe.
Trying to think of things we would have blown up back then. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Trying to just like lighters could blow up it a little bit, but nothing really.
Yeah. The girls are watching a scary movie in 3D, and I was going to say 2001 seems a little not over like a little bit like moving forward. I feel like the first like real 3D movie I watched was like in 2003 or 2004, pending.
Now, Grudy, you're talking, you're aging yourself here. Like 3D obviously had been around for decades prior and had made several different comebacks throughout. But my one thing with this was, I think we may have been past the bicolored 3D glasses, the red and blue or red and green. I think we were into the like just clear 3D glasses at this point, but maybe that was just the theaters. I can remember growing like in like even in 97, 98, probably like 97, that when Revenge of the Nerds 4 was debuting on Fox TV, they broadcast it in 3D, and you could go to 7-Eleven to pick up your 3D glasses to watch the film, watch it on TV. Yeah. Nerds in Love, one of the lesser entries in the Revenge of the Nerds series.
The real first 3D movie I think I watched, it might have only been my only 3D movie. Probably have seen like a couple others, but it was Spy Kids, the third Spy Kids movie.
Like it's 3D.
Yep, yeah. Uh-huh. So they're watching a scary movie in 3D. Sean walks in, and he goes right upstairs to Toby's room where they're playing cards, and then JT asks Sean how to get girls. Sean asks if Emma knows that Sean is going to be there, and JT says yes. And then in the swerve of the century, JT then pulls out a little bag with an ecstasy pill in it. And Sean says, well, if we're going that route, we should all just take a little chunk of this pill. So I'll cut it up. And Sean literally takes the pill, runs down to the kitchen where Ashley is. And even Ashley's like, Sean, what are you doing with drugs in the house? Like, it's not mine. JT brought it in. And even Ashley's like, well, they're too young to be experimenting.
Sorry.
So what did you think of JT pulling out a ecstasy bag?
Oh, wow. Bit to unpack here. Yeah. So, first back to the movie watching we had, you know, where Paige is like surprised that Sean would be coming to hang out with JT and Toby, but also commenting that, wow, he's gotten pretty hot since that fight, after school. And, JT sourcing the ecstasy, breaking it out to really liven up the party, as he says, to be ready to romance the ladies that are going to be, filling the house soon. Where did he get that ecstasy, Grudy? I don't know if you noticed, it was from his cousin. Do we think this is the same cousin who gave them the porn websites earlier in the season?
I believe so.
Yeah. This guy's just got a notebook filled with adult websites and then a bottle of ecstasy pills. It's just like when JT comes over to visit, it's like, here you go, cuz.
Yeah. It said it cost JT two weeks allowance. Like, how much do you think what ecstasy pill would cost? Like $20, I guess.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, JT, the 2 weeks allowance, unbelievable. And then we get Sean and Ashley in the kitchen. Ashley prepping, I don't know what these drinks or snacks are for people, but she's wearing an apron at the time too, and obviously with the shocked and appalled like reaction to the ecstasy being in her house. But quickly Sean making the mistake of trusting that Ashley will throw it out and not give in to the temptation of that first ecstasy pill just sitting in front of her.
Yeah, so he goes down to the kitchen where he cuts he switches it cuts it with an aspirin, and even Ashley goes, "Oh, I'll take care of it. I'll make sure that it gets thrown out." But then Ashley gets a little excited look. She's like, "Oh, wow!" So she actually puts it in her puts the pill in her purse. Paige then says, Well, first off, JT and Toby take the aspirin, and then Ashley puts the pill in her purse. Paige then says, it's getting boring out there, so Ashley calls Jimmy, and but also she then pulls the pill out of her bag, and she takes the ecstasy pill.
Yep. Party's kind of lame, says Paige. Come in and tell her. Similar to a couple episodes, she told us, hey, the girl group in the song we're singing is kind of lame. And Ashley, more than happy to listen to everybody's opinion and not trust herself and just, try to make people happy, is like, all right, yeah, let's call Jimmy. Let's down this E. Let's be something different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Ashley's trying to be a little bit of a bad girl in her. Getting her bad self out there. JT and Toby are in Toby's room. They believe they are high, and Sean is just laughing. But he also tells JT to call Emma, so she does. So he does. Manny, Emma, and Liberty are outside, and Ashley comes out really, really high. And she's like, Liberty, oh my God, I love you. We're so alike. And all this mumbo jumbo. And even Liberty's like, what the heck is going on here?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Ashley getting to ramp up a different side of her acting here and give us the high on E side, obviously responding to every sound from the movie, every sight, and running into Liberty and the younger kids. With just wild emotional swings is a fun scene for her to play, but definitely breaking it, tapping into maybe a little bit of a different part of this character. And yeah, here we have now we're only missing Jimmy and Spinner, and is that it? From our main cast, to come in together and to be in one space.
Yeah, sorry, Oscar. Sorry, Oscar, you didn't make the cut. Yeah. But neither did if you go back to, they're always trying to find that third guy friend for Jimmy and Spinner, and they couldn't really get it.
No, because it's always because Sean is still always on the outs with Jimmy in some way, so he's never getting inserted in there. I love that we're seeing some different sides. We're getting to see Sean actually having fun in this episode. He's just kind of chuckling at JT and Toby, and he's kind of getting to enjoy the space he's in a little more.
Yeah, and John, if you recall in that Shakespeare episode as well, they were having like that third guy like just like laughing about like what like Spinner was talking about with like the whole Shakespeare episode too. And it was like, well, maybe this guy's going to be the third guy. It's like, no, he's just here for one and done.
Yeah, we need somebody else dribbling the basketball with you guys walking down the street. So here he is.
Yeah, and we'll see in later seasons that there will be like 2 more buddies added to the pack of Jimmy and Spinner. Yeah, so then Ashley turns on music and starts to dance with Liberty, breaking a lamp. So we're seeing the effects of Ashley not knowing what she's doing, and she'll ask about that in the morning. JT invites Emma and Manny in, and the guys start to sit next to them and start weirdly trying to come on to them.
Yeah, this is probably JT's best episode to me, where his kind of his humor actually lands, it's not humor in his attempts, but the character's actions are funnier rather than the earlier episodes, like where he was pretending to be gay, or even his election episode was pretty funny. But here, being the kind of drugged out, like super romantic guru type, as he is, guiding the women into the love palace that is Toby's room, is some of his best work.
I think the favorite episode of mine is the one with the Pringles that he realizes, spade and spade, no spade and clubs, so they shove him in the locker.
Yeah, but this is definitely, I mean, I think giving him a lot to work with, and once again, Sean just kind of shaking his head at everything that's going on here, but now realizes that this means Emma must be there. Is there.
Yeah, Jimmy and Spinner then come in, and like you said, John, we have all the main cast members in one room in one house together.
Yeah. Spinner carrying a watermelon on his way in. Do we think that's a homage to Dirty Dancing? We know the creators are very 80s minded and try to name their episodes after 80s and 90s songs often. So is this a callback to that, you think?
I don't know, but I thought it was kind of a hint that, Spinner's going to smash that watermelon. When somebody brings a watermelon into a house, it's going to get smashed in some way.
He does say upon entering, now this is my kind of party. Yeah. So I don't know what it is about girls watching 3D movies and dancing around broken lamps, but that gets him going.
Yeah, I kind of was waiting for him to smash the watermelon, and Ashley just being like, I'll deal with it in the morning. Yeah, because I always thought that was like the stereotypical thing of like, oh man, watermelon, gotta smash it at this rich person's house. Then Ashley then tells Jimmy that she took ecstasy. Jimmy is mad at her, and Ashley tells him to lighten up.
Rudy, I think we're skipping over some big stuff here, because this is where we had, or is this where did she already go into the room with Sean and then she runs into Jimmy after that?
No. This is the first time.
Got it.
Follow along. Yeah, she took the ecstasy. Jimmy is mad at her, and Ashley tells him to lighten up. Then Sean comes into Toby's room, but Emma leaves and won't talk to Sean. So then, Emma is trying to, Sean is trying to chase after Emma, and then Ashley comes in. She's like, Sean, oh my, I'm so glad to see you. And she's like, come on, let's talk about this. And Sean reluctantly, I don't know why he does it, but he goes into Ashley's room with her.
There we go. Yeah. So yeah, Jimmy, she's excited to see Jimmy obviously on the way in, and she's like, oh, I've got such a surprise for you. She does the A, B, C, D, E, and Jimmy, ever the cautious and, street smart kid, I guess, from living at home with his parents away all the time, is like, we got to get you to drink water, and lots of it right now. Trying to care for Ashley. and she's just like, hey, lighten up. And he goes off to because that's right, that splits them up at first because he's pissed at Toby and JT, so he goes to find them to beat them up, and then Ashley runs into Sean and they venture off together. Yeah, I was jumping ahead.
Yep, yeah. I guess all that water really helped Jimmy survive since his parents were around and all he had was Antonio's pizza.
Yeah.
You're on your own, kid. So then Sean in Ashley's room begins to cry. And this was a surprise for me that we see this lighthearted, like Sean caring person, because I always thought that he was like the hardened rebel criminal, like the John Bender in Breakfast Club, and there'll be a callback to that as well too in the later season. But no, he's just this kid who really cares about a girl, and it's Emma. But then Ashley then comforts him, but then they start to make out, which is a big wow. I didn't know that was going to happen, but at first, yeah.
Yeah, this is one of the first episodes of Degrassi I ever saw, of the Next Generation I ever saw, when they were doing the reruns on the end. So I remember this one playing a lot over the summer, playing at the end of marathons, and I would end up coming on to catch it. And this like, Sean, don't cry scene always is one that I would happen to run into for some reason. And it really just kind of, everything snowballs from here. We're in fast motion throughout the rest of this episode. Everything kind of, everybody running into each other in the hallways, and storylines getting jangled and really kind of breaking apart and bringing together like different relationships here. Kind of breaking up everything we had seen over the year.
Yeah. Sean, don't cry.
Ashley, such a range throughout this episode, right? Disappointed in herself, feeling kind of shameful, but then just drugged out on ecstasy, such the highs and the manic from that, and now the loving, tender, oh no, supportive of Sean. really just going for it.
Yeah. So then Jimmy runs into Toby, and he's all mad at him, saying, I should beat you and your friend up because you gave Ashley ecstasy. It's like, what? No, we didn't. Like, Sean did. And then Toby figures out that Sean switched the pill with something. And then and then Jimmy races upstairs as Sean leaves Ashley's room. But here's the thing, like, did Sean ever figure out that Ashley like stole the pill, like, and swallowed it?
Sean, no, I don't think Sean thinks anything of her behavior. Yeah, I think he's all in his own head. Like, he's not thinking this is Ashley on E. It's he's still dealing with his own shit.
Yep. So then Sean just leaves Ashley's room, and he just goes downstairs. Toby comes out to talk to Emma, and Sean walks outside. Emma hugs Toby, so Toby's kind of getting what he wants at the wrong time. Like, he always wanted Emma, but it's at her most like weakest point ever.
Yeah, and Emma was crying downstairs too. But was she just crying because Sean was there and it was hard for her seeing him there? Like, because she has no idea that he was in Ashley's room or anything like that.
Nope.
She's just sad in the presence of Sean, and gives Toby the hug, and Sean looks back at them, kind of, maybe some closure there for him of, okay, she's moved on, or he's just whatever, moving on.
Jimmy then is looking for Sean downstairs. Spinner says that Sean left. Ashley tells Jimmy to chill out and that Sean understands her. Jimmy, just chill out. Like, you don't understand me. Now, Sean, he understands me. And Terry is just like, Ash, just chill. Like, you don't know what you're saying. And even Jimmy is trying to get her a pass. Like, yeah, it's just the pill talking, But then Ashley all of a sudden just says that she should have broken up with Jimmy on his birthday. And then And then Paige chimes in. She's like, Ash, that's pretty low. And then Ashley goes, Paige, you're just a hag. And this is where the party ends and everyone just like starts to leave.
Yeah, the hag insult is such a memorable one. From back again, thing I remember from when first watching this was like such a thing that stood out in comparison to like the American counterparts on shows. It felt like this weird either safe insult or just like a little out of its own time, that because it was what Paige went to first. She's like, "Stop being such a hag," and then Ashley comes right back with it. No, you're a hag. It's like, what are they censoring here or something that we couldn't get to? But a funny choice there. Ashley comes down the stairs with the hair disheveled, right? Sweater kind of off the shoulder, definitely in that walk of shame moment. And just lays into Jimmy, like letting it all out. I should have broken up with you on your birthday, like I planned to, and you just don't get it. What Sean and I just had was, and it's like, whoa, here we are laying it out. And kind of putting Jimmy in his place and in front of everybody. No fear, obviously the E, playing a role here, but kind of actually definitely breaking free of that goody two shoes role.
Yeah. So like, just recap before we get to the next scene. Sean never knew that Ashley took the pill. He thought that Ashley threw it away. So it's not really about like Sean being mad at Ashley. It's like, well, she decided to do her own thing and I didn't do anything because it's all JT's fault.
Right.
So yeah. And then Emma, I'm wondering I don't think they ever did. I think it was a one-off that I don't think they ever go back to it, that Ashley and Sean made out at the party. So he's really safe on Emma's side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't even think he has anything to regret because it's not like they were dating. They just really went on like one date and like I think it was just like one kiss, and it's not like they said "I love you" and stuff. So I guess Sean's in the clear to get a free pass on this one. I give him a pass, John.
You give it a pass? Yeah, I mean he kept the picture of her from the date night, but yeah, they were and she had helped him with his studies. I think like he was really. They were getting close, but yeah, after the fight and her getting caught up in it, there was no explaining, and he's tried to. So they're definitely separated at worst, and nothing happening here. So he found comfort in the open arms of Ashley and her ecstasy. So.
So like I said, everybody leaves except for Terry. Terry ends up actually spending the night. As we get into the next morning, Ashley is wondering what happened last night. As she's like, well, what happened to this lamp? It's like, you broke it when you were dancing with Liberty. And she's like, oh, that must have been fun. I was like, well, but I danced with Liberty. It must have been a fun night. And then, like Terry's like, do you even know what you said? And she's like, well, kind of, but not really. And then she's like, Terry kind of explains like what happened. And then Ashley's like, what should I call Jimmy? And she's like, I don't know. But there's a ring, the doorbell rings and it's Spinner. Spinner gives Ashley a box and tells her not to call per Jimmy. And then Ashley starts to break down crying as Toby is like, come on, we got to get everything cleaned up. And Ashley just drops to her knees. And then Terry comes over and then Toby comes over. She's like, Ashley, like, what's wrong? So again, John, we're ending this episode on not a high note.
Not a high note, definitely a downer. We get the sadder closing Degrassi music at the end of the acoustic guitar. More to unpack here. Like I don't think the party ever got that out of control that they would have had this mess to clean up in the morning. Yes, the broken lamp, but it seemed like there was a lot more clutter than that group would have caused after walking out after about 90 minutes. Mm-hmm. Ashley, despite being drugged out, had the presence of mind to get in her pajamas and robe like overnight, not just pass out in what she was wearing. That felt like that was a little unrealistic. But yeah, Spinner also, like, Jimmy tasking him to get up early and bring over this shoebox full of gifts that Terry gave me and tell her I don't want to see her anymore. Like, Spinner couldn't have been like, I'll do it after lunchtime or something. Like, he's got to go over first thing.
Yeah. Well, like he had nothing better to do. School was out, so it's not like they had to study for anything or do anything really.
But yeah, here he comes with it wasn't a big box, so I imagine it was just like gifts that Ashley had given him over time. I think, what'd you give him, a necklace earlier in the year or something, or bracelet?
Yeah, was it the A and J, or was that his?
I think, yeah. Good question. It was around the birthday or the 7-month anniversary.
Yeah, I think it was the 8th month. Yeah, might have been the 8th. Yeah. So I when watching this back, I thought that the parents were like coming in, like you don't see them, but you hear their voices, like, what happened, blah blah blah, as you see Ashley like crying, like we see the image, and I was like, oh, it's just Toby saying, Ash, are you okay? Like, I really thought the parents like walked in and was like, what the heck happened here? I was kind of waiting for that. It didn't come.
Yeah, the same here, but we closed just with our trio of Toby, Terry, and Ashley. And what will be the fallout from all this? We've got Emma and Sean split, Jimmy and Ashley split, Sean kind of off on his own. These three together, and JT and Liberty wandering as well. And Manny, I don't know. We just had Manny fired up to like listen to music today. She didn't really have much to go on.
Yeah, I kind of forgot that Manny was in the episode.
Yeah.
That's the same thing with Liberty. It's like, what the heck is Liberty doing here? Like, there's no guy for her.
Yeah, Liberty at least gets called out by Ashley, so they have that interaction. But Manny, I think Manny just has, when they're waiting on the steps, she has her headphones going loud, and she's like, oh, if my father finds out, he'll kill me.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And Hazel too. Hazel's in the background. Yeah, it's not doing it.
Notice many of the minority characters.
Boy, here we go. It comes out. Yeah. MVP, John, who do you have? Because this isn't really like one of those episodes where it's like a hero boy or hero girl here. I'm going to say that the MVP is Sean, just because like we see his emotional side, and he was actually really trying to get Emma back, but Emma was having none of it. So I am actually going to go Sean on this episode.
Wow. And you and I have gone back and forth on what, MVP, LVP really means for these. Like, are they characters we root for? Are they, the heroes of the episode, or are they the people who kind of just like dominate the screen and move stories along and are, again, kind of stirring the pot as we do. And for that reason, that I got it. She's a bit of a pill. But Ashley, gets to carry this episode. We followed her along all season, from, wanting to get good grades to wanting to have the performance go perfectly, bossing her friends around, and sort of see her kind of loosen up and fall into this like other side of herself and have it break things down and kind of fall apart. This is an Ashley episode, and I think we get some, not growth for her, but we at least get some a different side of her that helps bring out and move the story along. It gives us some hope for what we're going to see next season. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All righty. LVP. I guess you could. I'm going to give it to JT. It's his fault.
It's his fault. His cousin.
Yeah. I'm going to give it to JT because it is his fault. He should have known better to like not bring ecstasy, like knowing like what could happen. I mean, JT's like the most immature kid. It's like, oh, this is going to be a really great time. And it's like not knowing the consequences. Even though it's not his fault that Ashley took the pill, he's the one who like brought the pill into the party.
Okay. Yeah, I could definitely see that. LVP for me, I'll go with you, and I'll say JT, or even like, I don't know, least valuable. Who brought the least to this episode? Manny had her dancing outside on the steps, and Liberty shows up in her sparkly shirt. They
really, it's Hazel then.
Yeah, Hazel had.
Yeah,
did Hazel have any lines, or she just sat there in the 3D glasses? Like
she's just screaming, like, yeah.
They are there to fill out like that. We get everybody from the cast on the screen. So I would, for LVP, go with any of those. The trio that are just our Greek choir in a way.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I think also that Jimmy and Spinner walked in with another guy or like two guys. It's like, oh, we just need some killer guys as well to make our group here. So that's the end of season 1. We end on, like we said, a somber note that Ashley breaks down crying because we see that there are relationships broken, and we're going to see like if friendships are formed or are they broken down too.
Yeah,
I think it's mostly like whose side is Terry going to be on? Terry is the peacekeeper. Like she was sort of the peacekeeper between Paige and Ashley, but again, like Terry has to look at it from both sides.
Yep, absolutely.
Paige stole Spinner. Ashley wanted to change things to go her way. So it's like Terry's in a little bit of a tussle here. And they don't even really like do an episode where Paige is mad at where Terry is mad at Paige for stealing Spinner. She's like, well, I missed my shot, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I don't think she even sees it as Paige, like that Terry ever sees it as that. Maybe just from being so drunk on the sherry or whatever from that evening that she doesn't recognize the deviousness that was at play. Plus, like, we don't see a lot of Paige with Spinner the rest of the season as being kind of coupled off. We don't get that really until next year, I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
How did you want to do the end of this? Because I've got some. I know you'd mentioned you wanted to do an MVP, LVP for the season. I've got some general kind of questions as well that might take some superlatives. How do you want to go through that?
Well, yeah, like, okay, so let's start with like best episode. Let's do like a small little recap here. We start off with a weird twisting episode because like we meet the main cast of like the kids, and we see the cast of the Degrassi High, the series before Next Generation, and it's like, well, what happens to Joey? We only see Joey in like the first 2 episodes, and he splits. So does Caitlin Ryan. Spike is around as Emma's mom. We see where Mr. Simpson and Mr. Raditch are. So it's like, where's Joey and Caitlin?
Yeah, that was kind of, again, I think it felt like almost like a made-for-TV movie that was like, maybe we'll get a pilot out of this, or we'll get to make a series if people like this. So, enjoyable, but a good start off for the whole thing. And then we're with the 7th and 8th graders the rest of the way, with Mr. Simpson and Spike kind of sticking around as the 2 old school characters.
Mm-hmm.
So what was your favorite? Did you have a favorite either episode or even like a storyline for the first season that you would say?
Alrighty. I like the I'm gonna say I'll say best episode. I think is Friday night.
Friday night, the date.
Yeah, because like it's so innocent that okay, Emma gets to go on her first date, but again, it's like the quirkiness of what like they stereotype as like, oh, this is what happens on a first day, you screw up with your wallet, this happens and that happens, but Sean sticks it out too. And I think like a really good moment was when he asked, hey, can I keep the picture? Like, so that was a very humble moment. Like he wanted to really hold on to that picture.
Okay, yeah, no, and I think I'd go with another Sean episode, the one we saw just last time, Under Pressure, where with the fight with Jimmy, with Sean finally getting his his studies together and passing the media immersion exam with the help from Emma. We even saw his brother, talking about how, Emma's been a really great influence on him. We learned about Sean deafening a kid back in Wasaga Beach.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that was an episode that had a little bit of everything, plus had the, real building of their relationship and how it's going to kind of be a back and forth and troubled over times. I thought that was a really, really great storyline.
Yeah, and like what we're already figuring out from this season 1 too is that not everything ends on a happy note, as we've been seeing. Not even the season finale ends on a happy note.
Oh.
Which is strange too. Usually you think like, we're already going into like a sad note for season 1, so you would think season 1 would end on a happier note, huh?
Well, I mean, we did end with a party, so that's typically happy, but in Degrassi fashion or teen melodrama fashion, we have to have some things go wrong.
Yep. The least popular episode of the series, I'm gonna go with Parents' Day.
Oh yeah,
it was a bland sort of episode of like just Toby whining about his parents, and it's like, okay, I'll get my studies, and it's like, well, we never see your mom again, so bye.
Yeah, if anything, the best part of that episode was Tagger getting to call out Emma on her write up about the computers, the free computers for the school, that his poor family can't afford at home. So that's how Sean's able to work, and making Emma kind of rethink her stuff about news about kids. But yeah, all in all, I mean, a very Toby-centric episode, which is never going to get me going in the first half of this season. Kind of leaned that way a few times. We would get the classic Mr. Simpson getting to do the kind of like fist pumping at the end for him, like, good job out there, Toby.
Then he's like, oh, by the way, detention for a week for forging my signature. Most important lesson episode, I think, is the rumor episode, rumors and reputations episode, because it's Emma's fault that rumor started. She told someone who told somebody else, and it was a big circle until it got back to Liberty, and then it had to retrack itself backwards.
Yeah, and that's going to play in a little bit if when we do our season-long MVP, LVP here. I think Rumors and Reputations is one of those that definitely hurt my top nominee for that. And also marked our first appearance of Hazel. So, a lot happening. And the first time I ever learned of dyscalculia. So really, Degrassi doing a public service by calling attention to a disorder that many might not be aware of.
I forgot what episode. What was the episode where Emma got her period? That's the one I forget.
That's the coming of age, right? Which was just before that. Yeah, that was when
Ashley's dad comes out gay too. Like,
no, that's even earlier. That was that was in the same rumor episode.
Oh, okay. It's so interesting because like there's like so many freaking like stories. There was like an A and a B one. It's like, which one's the coming of? Oh, it's coming of age, the basketball one, I think. Yeah.
No, that's just the Basketball Diaries. That was that
one. Yeah. Too many of these. All right. So
I got a question coming off of Basketball Diaries. I'm glad you brought it up. We've had the chance this season to see, several of our characters and their response to being on alcohol or drugs. By my count, we had Ashley, obviously, Terry, drunk earlier, Spinner and Jimmy, and their opposite reactions to taking Ritalin and not taking Ritalin. And then Toby and JT getting to pretend, fooled into pretending they were on ecstasy, but still behaving in that way.
Yeah.
Which character's performance do you think was the best of a drugged out 7th or 8th grader here? And are there any characters you want to see hopefully take that chance moving forward? who gave our best drugged out performance?
Oh, wow, that's gonna be that's a good one. I'm gonna say Terry did.
Yeah.
Terry on
Yeah,
alcohol.
Terry kicked it off well, right?
Yeah.
Terry drunk and, trying to dance and calling Spinner cute to her face. She's kind of laughing at herself like, I can't believe I said that. But, then obviously having to throw up and that getting away from her and losing the potential love of her life in 8th grade there with Spinner. Yeah, I thought she did it well. Jimmy's hyped up on Ritalin with the basketball, though, is pretty great, too. And his just hip checking Sean, maybe really seriously injuring his knee.
Yeah.
That's amazing stuff, too.
All right, John. 2 more questions. The MVP of the season and the LVP of the season.
All right. So we talked about, is it somebody who we learn a lot from, or is it somebody who moves things along? And I lean more towards in that second category. And that's why as much as this show seems to be about Emma, seems to be about Ashley and Sean at times, to me, the MVP of this show, of this first season, has to be Paige. Paige, Paige took over that kind of total bitch character and embraced it. But she's somebody who moves so much along, whether she's, getting her friend drunk in Terry and moving in on her boyfriend. She makes moves on Ashley's boyfriend, Jimmy. Don't forget, even when they were doing the Romeo and Juliet, which forces Ashley to even think about having sex with Jimmy for their 8-month anniversary. She starts the cheerleader team, and she even plots to blame Hazel for the articles being written out. She is, always knowing how to push buttons, getting the group, the music performance kind of steered around for her. Paige moves things along, and that is why she gets my MVP.
Alrighty. No, I get it. I'm gonna go with Sean, actually, as my MVP, because at first I thought that for some reason, just by the looks of it, of what the episodes were, I thought my MVP was actually going to be Toby. And I thought a lot of the season 1 was going to be Toby in the episodes, because it starts off with him and Ashley, and you're like, oh, is it going to just be about them? But it does a whole 180 where Toby's the last one. Toby's literally on the outs, JT's ahead of him. Toby is one step away from Hazel. And,
Toby's just a punching bag at the end, throughout, right? He's
around. But I'm gonna say Sean, because he's had to do a lot. He sticks up for himself. The Friday night episode where he just sticks through this date till the end. He tries to get Emma back, but I really thought that I saw a lot out of Sean, and I can't wait to see Sean's character development in season 2.
Yeah, a really, really close second for me. If we were doing male and female, he would have obviously taken it. Sean, really the most 3-dimensional, or the deepest character we had on the whole show. The conflicts between his, obviously having to stay back, which puts him at odds with Jimmy for the whole season, but also really trying to do his best with this younger class and becoming friends with them, and falling for Emma in a genuine way. Their date, you cited that for Friday night a couple times. Their first date, with all of its kind of calamities and everything, was probably the most realistic recreation of 8th grade, 7th grade embarrassing dating moments and stuff that you're gonna have. And I thought that he came through in that as really charming, but could also be really really conflicted and hurt at times, as we saw. He's definitely doubts himself and sees himself as a failure, and we're rooting for him to get out of that. And obviously some of the other characters, whether it's Emma or Mr. Simpson, are too, and we're hoping that he can keep this going.
LVP, I have Hazel. just because I think it's the default answer. She's not in episodes and she only has one line. But then you can just go with Toby because he's the punching bag and he gets all like the complaint episodes here.
Yeah. Well, you want to talk about complaining? There's only one person who probably does more complaining than Toby, and that's my LVP, which is Emma.
Okay. No,
Emma is. Yeah. Emma, nearly gets Mr. Armstrong fired, probably, or at least probably get close to some discussions about that with her starting rumors. She is all about her causes all the time. She tries to shut down the cheerleading team, something that her best friend wants to be a part of, as Liberty says to her, she's like, go back to saving whales, because when it comes to people, you suck. Yeah. I think, that kind of sums up what we see with Emma throughout. Again, call back to the computers where she's like, well, this is terrible. We have these computers that are sponsored. And Tagger has to say, no, that helps kids. She's kind of out over her skis a little bit and always maybe not researching things as well, but getting involved in causes.
Yep. All right, John. Well, that's going to do it from us on whatever it.
Whoa. Hold on now with the name there.
Cease and desist already.
Maybe it's just the new media immersion class or something. We can.
Yeah. That's going to do us from Pop Goes Degrassi. But before we get out of here, John, do you have anything that you want to direct the listeners to?
Hey, I'd always direct you guys to the Beverly Hills 90210 podcast on this same channel and on its own channel. Great recaps of Beverly Hills 90210 episodes if you like kind of the predecessor to Degrassi: The Next Generation, but also a ancestor of the original Degrassi, how we were doing teen melodrama in the States compared to the Canadians. Always a fun side-by-side and some great discussions of those episodes that are going on currently in their senior year in high school. And, a lot going on there for the gang over at the Peach Pit. Check that out. Check out the discussion forums on Place to Be Nation's Facebook page and also Place to Be Pop. Always a lot of fun stuff going on there with the different polls and contests we got and great content from everybody on the website.
Yeah, we're in the back end of, the middle back end of season 3. They just got done with the Christmas episode, so we're coming back to the second semester of senior year for 90210. As for me, you can mostly find me on the Place to Be Nation wrestling feed. I have 2 shows there. One is called Extreme Resurrection, where me and Steve Riddle go over ECW on Sci-Fi from 2006 to 2010. We are saying goodbye to 2007 with Chavo Guerrero making his ECW debut as he attacks CM Punk, and they're going to begin their little feud as we head into 2008. So we have to see what's going to happen between those two and what's going to happen with John Morrison and The Miz, as they are the tag team champions of SmackDown competing on ECW as well. So a lot of interesting new things going on on ECW as they are forming up with SmackDown as the talent exchange, they call it.
We're getting to the point where you have the ECW champion show up to compete in the Royal Rumble to show how valuable that ECW title is, right? That he wants to win a title shot for something else.
Yep. And then also, we're seeing the early vignettes of Kofi Kingston from Jamaica.
From Jamaica, man. Yeah.
It's so funny. And then I also have Nation Invasion on the Place to Be Nation wrestling feed, where I invite a guest on to cover the Raws and SmackDowns and pay-per-views of the Invasion era. My last episode was with Jeremy Nichols when we covered the SmackDown where Rob Van Dam defeated Kurt Angle for Stone Cold to get number one contenders rematch back for Kurt Angle on the next episode of Monday Night Raw, and I'm trying to find other ways of getting the Raw shows, because they're not on Netflix and they've been taken off of Peacock, so we'll have to see what happens there. Well, that's gonna do it from us on Pop Goes Degrassi. I'm James Gruenberg. He's John Kesselika, and we will see you next time.